Hello and welcome to another opinion piece. Today's topic is a very general one, a very common one that beginners want to ask. It's about bulking and cutting. So, just a general concept of what bulking and cutting is. Bulking we will define as a period where you deliberately eat an excess of calories that you require to put on mass and size, and cutting is a period where you deliberately undereat calories and macronutrients to lose body fat to become more ripped or more cut or more defined. Both of these stem from bodybuilding, but they're still prevalent in most sports, um, where people want to get bigger or smaller. So we're gonna look at it in a few different lights, and just trying to put my opinion on it. First, we're gonna cover bulking and cutting for natural people. For natural people, whether you're a beginner or you're intermediate or advanced, what you can do is regards in a short period, as in 3, 4, 5 months, is fairly limited when it comes to putting on size. In your first year, you might put on, let's let's these are completely pulled out of the air, but say you could put on 10, 10 pounds or 5 kilos of muscle in the first year. Then the next year, maybe you could put on 6 pounds. The year after that, 3 pounds. Every year that you put on so much mass, it becomes increasingly more difficult to put more and more on. And when you're talking about putting on mass naturally, you're talking about long periods of time. So, as me as an example, in the last 6 years or maybe 7 years, I reckon I've probably put on about 6, 7 kilos, 7 kilos of muscle mass in the past 7 years. And in that time, my back squat has went up um, about nearly 100 kilos. My bench press has went up 50 kilos, and my deadlift has gone up more than 100 kilos. And I've only put on 7 kilos of mass, and I've pretty much remained the same weight. 7 years ago, I was sitting around 88, 90 kilos. Currently, I'm sitting around 98 to 100 kilos. So, most of that weight gain has pretty much been muscle. There's been periods of time when I've put on fat, and I've read about it on my blog, so it's there if you look at it if you want to. So, in terms of bulking for natural people, there's not really much point in worrying about putting on a lot of weight in a short period of time because what that weight's going to end up being is fat. However, what you can do is if you're out of shape, you can cut to a reasonable level of conditioning. There's no point being fat for fat's sake. So if you're a natural trainee and you're out of shape or you're fat, and your goal maybe if your goal is to be the strongest you can be, then you're probably going to need to be a bit fat. However, if your goal is to compete in a weight class, compete in a sport, to compete in bodybuilding, to look good naked, then you really should be in shape all year round. Maybe not in absolute amazing condition, but you should be, as maybe just as a general rule, you should be able to see some kind of abs all year round. Otherwise, you're just getting fat for fat's sake. That's not really what you want to do. If you're not natural and you're a bodybuilder, then bulking all of a sudden makes more sense because you can increase your testosterone levels, you increase your hormone levels, you can increase your growth hormone levels, or you can take insulin. You can take all of these compounds. That means you can put on a marked amount of size in a short period of time. So the person who's not natural and you're a bodybuilder or you're a strength athlete, a period of deliberate bulking where you're taking in more calories, way more calories than you might need, might make more sense for them. You're probably going to end up putting on more fat, but you can engage in periods where you can put on quite a lot of size in a short period. So if you're not a natural trainee, bulking makes sense. Cutting makes sense for everybody, really, but only if you're not happy with your current shape. If you're happy with the current shape, then obviously you don't really need to cut. What I'd say for someone who's fairly happy with the current shape, or someone who's more interested in getting bigger or stronger, is to kind of worry about the weight in the bar, worry about how much you're benching, worry about how much you're squatting for reps. So how much you can do in 8 to 12 range, as we mentioned before. Worry about the weight you're using that rep range and recover from your workouts. Don't get out of shape, and over time it will take care of itself. You will get bigger, I guarantee it. Um, for strength sports, um, if you're in a weight class strength sport, the best thing you can do is train at that weight. Cutting down the weights, um, if you're a natural lifter, from personal experience, is a really bad way of doing things. What you should do maybe if you're at the cusp of a weight class, if you're in shape and you're 95 kilos and you want to compete in the 94s, or you're 96 kilos and you want to compete in the 94s, doing a small cut to kind of get that weight kind of makes sense. But if you're walking around like deliberately heavy, as in you're like 103 kilos, 105 kilos, and you want to compete in the 94s, that's not really a great way of going about business. What you should be doing if you're that heavy is you should be get in shape and maybe be like a light 105. Um, if you got a day before weigh-in, again, this doesn't apply to all strength sports, but for some strongman events, some powerlifting events, being 10, 12 kilos overweight is maybe not such a problem for you because you can drop that water weight in a week and then put the water weight back on before the comp. So in that context, being heavier than your weight class probably makes sense. But they're fairly niche within strength sports, and this tends to be untested competition. Um, for athletes, if you're any kind of athlete that doesn't like, if you're not like a developing, if you're not like a young rugby player, you're not a young American football player. If that's probably the only place in athletics where you really want to put on size, but you want to put on good size. So like we were saying before, you want to just get stronger and recover, and let the rest take care of itself. You put on weight, but you're looking to put on like 5 to 7 kilos a year at the start, and then it'll diminish as we were talking about. For every other athlete, you want to be as good a shape as possible. You want to carry around as little mass as possible and be as strong and as fast as you can be, because that's gonna be optimal for your sport. Less body mass, greater speed, greater agility, greater change of direction, greater acceleration, less weight to project, so you can jump higher, run faster, all the rest of it. So being as strong as you can be, in the best shape you can be, is the best thing you can do for athletics. And for anyone else, kind of what I would always advocate and what I've been talking about um, before is just being in shape and performing better. If you tick them two boxes, you're going to cover everything, and you shouldn't really have to worry about anything too much. That concludes this opinion piece. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time for another one.